So it's Pegasus Cup Day at Gulfstream on Saturday, and we're going to take a look at the Pegasus World Cup Invitational. It's a grade one. It's the last race on the card, which you always got to love that they don't throw the obligatory week maiden as the finisher. So it's part of an all stakes Big Five. We'll have a posting on that. This is the 13th race, and again the last race on the card, running a mile and an eighth for 4-year-olds and up. And very important that we remember the configuration at Gulfstream for a mile and an eighth. This race starts on a turn. So the combination of the speed favoring track that Gulfstream normally is, coupled with starting on a turn, inside speed has a major league advantage in this race. So here's the field, and we see that we've got some Gulfstream performers like Conor and Il Miracolo, who have been, this is their home track, so we got to pay a little bit of attention. And a couple who are stepping up in class, I'd say, Nimitz class, Dynamic One, and then we've got some venerable performers we've seen at the graded stakes level, National Treasure, Senior Buscador, and of course, Hoist the Gold. Wouldn't be a stakes race without Dallas Stewart throwing one in, would it? And Grant Aspen's been a new shooter onto the scene and is moving up. Pletcher's got 3 in this race: Krupe, Grant Aspen, as well as Dynamic One. And then you've got Trademark and Skippy Longstocking, couple of more normally run around the grade 3 level, so this is a bit of a jump for them. And are also eligible Castle Chaos, who's cross-entered, and I don't expect to run in this race, particularly since Tyler Gaffleone is on him, as well as Skippy Longstocking. So we'll take a look at how we're going to play this, and we'll go through the field one by one. National Treasure, we know about him that he needs to be on the lead. That is where he's most effective. Last seen in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, where he ran a hell of a good race at Santa Anita. But again, looking at his career, when he's on the front end, he's most effective. We'll go back to the Preakness as well as the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. I think they just need to keep him out of trouble. When he has to rate, he just doesn't seem to be the same horse. So the big issue to me is the 7-hole. He's got a lot of speed or early speed, pace pressers, early speed horses to his inside. And while I think he can get the lead, I think it's going to be awful difficult for him to settle. And so I'm not going to use him in this race. I love the horse. It's always been a fan, but I don't see this setting up terribly well. If he can get on the lead and somehow tamp it down and everybody's afraid to go get him, then perhaps he's got a chance, but I don't see that happening. Nimitz class is a nice horse, and he's stepping up in class. He has been progressing pretty well, but I did note that that more often than not, he needs the pace to be fairly soft, or he needs to be able to settle with and not do too much early. When he has to, then he's not quite as effective, and this is certainly a step up in class for him. Being on the rail, I think, is a good place for him, but I just don't. I just have a feeling that he's maybe going to get swallowed up with all the other speed in the race, and so I'm not going to use him. I do like the horse though. Hoist the Gold is around 2 turns. We know he's most effective around 1. And I think this is a little wishful thinking. Maybe Dallas Stewart's thinking, since his last race was such a good one, that he's in good form. I don't know. But I don't see him hanging around late in this race. He is to the inside. That is advantageous. And I think he'll be up around the leaders, if not on the lead. But I can't see him factoring late in this race. Trademark, I like in this race a lot. And the main reason is that he can lay off the pace, doesn't have to be right up on it. And he's a 2-turn horse. And I think tactically he should be able to work out a trip from the 5-hole and get to where he wants to be. And I think he's going to have enough late. The last race, Dueling with First Mission, showed that he's in good form. I think he's going to be fresh, and I think he'll be where he needs to be in this race. So I like Trademark in this race. First Mission certainly is going to be the one everyone's going to watch. And, he ran a hell of a last race, and he's certainly one that is on the improve. But from the 8 hole, I think it's going to be a tall order. He's going to have to be sent and pressed to get to where he wants to. And I think, he can handle that part of it. It's just a question of, with all the other speed and being to the outside of a lot of it, working out a trip and then having enough late to finish the job is where I'm a little suspect of him, particularly when you consider early in his career or races prior to the last one, he'd had fairly easy early fractions and had plenty late. The last race was the first time he'd really been pressed, and he just missed by a hair at the end. So I'm just wondering, with the tactical disadvantage he's at in the 8 hole, if perhaps this is the best scenario for him. So First Mission, I think, is good enough to factor in this race, and he could win it. If he does, I think he's proven that he's the head of the handicap division, or the older division as we now call it. But I just tactically, I'm not as high on him. Grand Aspen is kind of the same thing. I think National Treasure and First Mission will probably lead the way for him and allow him to get into a good position. He is definitely on the improve. Everything speaks to a horse who's on his way up, and trained by Todd Pletcher. I think he's one that can factor in this race. I'm not sure that he has the top end to finish. It is a step up in class, but I think he's one that can factor in this race. Skippy Longstocking, as we know, is mostly a grade 3 horse, and he's in the 12 hole. He's at a major league disadvantage for the way he likes to run, and I can't like him at all in this spot, and so I'm going to pass. Castle Chaos, pretty much the same thing. If he does draw in, I can't see him getting into a good position, and I don't think he's good enough in any event, so he's a toss. Excuse me. O'Connor is been getting better and better the more he acclimates to the States. He's one that his running lines are getting progressively better, and he doesn't necessarily have to come from the clouds. He's been getting a little more into the mix earlier. And from the 2 hole, I think he's going to be able to get into a good spot. He's certainly going to have to work out a trip. And the only thing I kind of wonder about at 7 years old, if he's got enough to take another move forward to win this. And I think he'd have to. But I think he's one that certainly can factor in this race, particularly considering it's Gulfstream, it's his home track. So I think O'Connor looks good to me in this spot. Il Miracolo, another one that he's on his home track, and he's a gun runner, and he's definitely getting better as he's getting older. Now, the 10 hole is a bit of a problem, but if he can work out a trip, I think he might be a sleeper in this spot. He is progressing, and that's really the thing that I like about him. And I think tactically he can get to where he wants to. The question is from the 10 hole if he's going to be able to work out a trip and have enough late. But I think he's probably more likely for under, but I think Il Miracolo is a good fit here. Krupe, what I really wonder about more than anything is the gate issues and the problems he tends to have early in races. From the 11 hole, that's going to be a tall order for him to get into the mix, to get to where he needs to be, particularly when you consider he has problems out of the gate and early. I don't know how much tactical speed he has to work out a trip. He looks to me like more of a one-run kind of horse. So I think he's at a tactical disadvantage. I wouldn't talk anybody out of using him underneath, and he seems to be getting better, but I just don't think the race sets up terribly well for him. Same can be said for Dynamic One. He's going to be coming from way back, and I don't see the tactical speed or the athleticism necessary for him to work out a trip. And his last race, I can draw a line through. He probably needed one coming off as long a layoff as he has, but he doesn't seem to have improved or changed his running style where he can get more up into the mix. And that's really the big issue with Dynamic One for me. So I'm going to toss him. Senior Buscador is he's a grade one horse. He's running graded stakes effectively. He's going to be coming from behind. I think he has enough tactical speed that he can work out a trip. I think he can get into the mix late. He's going to be coming from probably pretty wide out, as it was the case in the Breeders' Cup Classic, and just kind of left him a little longing in the stretch. But I think he's certainly good enough to get into the mix. But to me, he's more of a bet for underneath. So looking at the field, I like Trademark. I just think that 2 turns is what he wants. Tactically, he's in a good position, and he should be able to lay off the speed and have enough to get there late. So we'll look at our wagering strategy. Again, I think Trademark is a very good bet here for win and place. I think you're going to get some nice value, particularly with First Mission and O'Connor in the race. So I think if you can get value, let's say maybe 4-1 or better, which I think is highly possible, then he, to me, is the horse to beat. We could do an exacta key. I don't normally like to go 4 deep on a key, but in this case, being a big field and being a grade one where there's prices to be had, I think we should certainly stretch out a little bit more. So I'd go with the 5 on top, keying with 2, 8, 9, and 10. And then because First Mission certainly has the ability to win this race, and seeing as how the last time in the Clark, these two dueled down the stretch, it may be a similar scenario. I think First Mission has a little bit taller order being in the 8-hole, but I'm going to go with a 5-8 box because I do think First Mission has the ability, he seems to have the potential to be able to overcome what is a little bit of a tactical disadvantage. For the trifecta, we're going to key Trademark with 2, 8, 9, and 10, and I'd key Trademark first and second. But then, because I think Senior Buscador has a very good potential to be underneath in the trifecta, we can back key him for second and third using the 2, 5, 8, 9, and 10. So that's going to give us, I think, potential for a lot of prices, a lot of good value. And I think this is a race, particularly when you consider the configuration and where some of the more prominent horses in this race are. I think Trademark looks awful good to me, and we definitely want to be searching for value, and I think we'll get it if we use Trademark in this regard.